It's October the 2nd, ladies and gentlemen. It is almost Christmas. I'm Jeremy Cordeaux. Peter Clayton's behind the camera. Welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. A bit to chew through today. I saw this and I had to think about it. Nearly 8 million meals are thrown away every day in Australia. Thrown away for one reason or another. I mean, I don't know. Not finished? In the fridge too long? God knows. But how many people could that feed? Well, obviously 8 million. But what a waste. Shocking waste. I hate waste. We're going to do some more, particularly around the dining room table, jeremycordeaux.com on a Friday morning, 9 till 12, on the subject of waste. Throwaway stuff, you know, throwaway society stuff. We've become very strange as a community, haven't we? KPMG have surveyed Australian and overseas businesses, the CEOs, and 82% say that working from home will be gone in 3 years. Now, I think that's a good idea, but one of the main reasons for this, by the way, is that the only employees who will progress their careers, get promotions, increases in salaries, will be those people who show up at the office. Perfectly right. Perfectly right. Good all around. Discipline. I mean, the isolation of working from home, even though I work from home, not that this is work, mind you, but you need the camaraderie, you need the conversation, the socialization. We need all of that. It's important. Greg Sheridan on the Inside has made some very good points last Sunday, I thought. The government seems to want to demonize business, particularly big business. The idea that people trying to provide for themselves and their future by investing in property using negative gearing is somehow evil, undesirable, appalling. I honestly believe you can help people who have failed without penalizing people who have succeeded. This should be a liberal or conservative mantra. Never hear anybody talking about this sort of stuff. Everyone should be encouraged and rewarded for ambition. Somehow, if a business makes a big profit, it's a bad thing. No, it isn't. Profit, as I understand it, is a reward for effort and ingenuity. That's what this country needs. Every country needs. And remember, those profits are distributed to shareholders. They're not gobbled up by the executive class. They get recompensed, but the profits go to shareholders. We will never get anywhere if we tax and discourage and demonize success. You only have to look at Ireland, for example, a high taxing basket case, not so long ago. They, with great courage and I suppose it was a bit of a gamble, they cut the corporate tax to 12.5%. It was 32%. 32% down to 12.5%. And you know what? The place has boomed. It's as clear as day. The more tax you charge, the less money you collect. And this mob want to introduce a super tax profit? Well, in fairness, it's the Greens, but the Greens, if push comes to shove, will do a deal, or the Labor Party will do a deal with the Greens, and God knows what that deal will incorporate, probably a super profits tax. What absolute rubbish! Here's another example. Let me give you the example of Delaware in the United States. I've got a picture over there of Washington crossing the Delaware. It's a classic American Revolutionary War picture. But I'm talking about the state, not the river. Delaware in the United States, the most popular state in the Union for corporate America. 2/3 of Fortune 500 companies are incorporated in Delaware. 80% of startups make Delaware their corporate home. They only have 1 million people in the whole state. And they are home to well over 1 million companies, corporations. News Limited, or News Corp, used to be headquartered here in Adelaide, Australia. They up and moved to guess where? Delaware. And I would have done the same bloody thing. But I tell you what, if I'd been Rupert Murdoch, I'd have put it on the front page of every one of my newspapers. I mean, the reason for shifting. And that is tax. Tax. Capital, you see, ladies and gentlemen, is mobile. I love the way the South Australian government spends taxpayers' money on an ad campaign to tell us what a good job they are doing on health. Now, we know, I'm sure you know, I know, it's a shambles. But they will spend our money, glossy advertising, to tell us what a good job they are doing. It's bull. Please don't be fooled. It's like climate change. Of course the climate's changing all the time, but you know, there's no catastrophe. It's like climate change. You tell a lie often enough and people will believe it. You brainwash them. Now, they're not the only government to do this. They all do it. Promote themselves and send us, the taxpayer, the bill. Let's stop this nonsense and, yes, I'll say it, corruption. You want to go out there and save your skin? Fine. Let the Labor Party pay the advertising bill. Or you can send it to the CFMEU, I suppose. You could do that. The government is very big on housing, by the way, speaking of the CFMEU. Very big on housing. Shortage of, need for more. But they never say anything about the CFMEU adding 30% to the cost of construction. Do you believe that? Where the union is involved, construction costs 30% more. But we will heavy Coles and Woolworths for daring to make a 2% profit. But then again, the supermarkets don't give the Labor Party $6 million a year. And the CFMEU does.
Again, Jeremy, where is the Liberal Party on all this?
Maybe they're just coasting along thinking the election will drop into their laps and they won't have to actually go out there and say anything contentious. God, I don't know. Pete, I just don't know. 8,000 people are said to be homeless. There are more people in need of help today than in the last 70 years. This great affluent country, I find it hard to believe. It would be more enlightening if we could look at some of the backstories. Now, I would think that a lot of people would have things in common. You know, I've almost been homeless. Almost. Family breakdowns, mental health issues, drug, booze, business failures. People don't plan to fail. I think it's perhaps just that people fail to plan. But who looks after people these days? There are a few really good people who do, among them the Salvation Army. 8,000 is a lot of people, but not so many that each and every one can't be helped in this rich and prosperous country. I find it interesting too, looking at the statistics, that most of the 8,000 are in fact men. Men seem to be a lot more vulnerable to the ups and downs of life than women. It's interesting. But it's one of those subjects that won't get treated terribly seriously. Have you seen this Cordeaux Trail stuff? Have you? The native stakeholders or landowners have banned Australians from walking the trail. Although it could be anyone, I guess. But right now I think it's just Australians in effect. The natives want $15 million in compensation. They say, ladies and gentlemen, compensation. I say, compensation for what? Saving their lives in World War II? Had not our soldiers fought their way up the Cordeaux Trail, the Papua New Guineans would have been killed, annihilated, wiped out. That's absolutely right. Australian soldiers, at great personal expense, saved their lives. And we have since independence been the biggest supporters and benefactors of Papua New Guinea in the world. Papua New Guinea is the biggest recipient of Australian aid. Hundreds of millions of dollars every year. A corrupt, lawless government and people. And now we're not allowed to walk the sacred Cordeaux Trail. We want money. Well, I'd say keep your trail and we'll keep our $400 million a year. This is a failed state. The only reason we keep pumping money in is that we are scared that the Chinese will step in, as Papua New Guinea is only a few kilometres off the coast of Cape York Peninsula. You can actually stand on Cape York Peninsula and with a naked eye you can see Papua New Guinea. So logically you can't give it to the People's Communist Party of China, can you? You can't. So what do? We do what we should have done instead of independence. We do what the Chinese would do. We take it over in the interests of national security and pay these bastards to walk the Cordeaux Trail. Well, I say never. But strategically, that country is important. You know, there are many disabled workers who work in sheltered workshops around the country, the so-called ADEs. They can be paid, I know, as little as $6 an hour. And they should be paid about $25 an hour. They have no chance of a job in the regular workforce. But here, in these sheltered workshops, they have dignity. They have purpose, camaraderie, and are clearly happy. But in another case of let's pursue the perfect at the expense of the good, these people will lose their sheltered workshop jobs. They will not get a job if the employer has to pay the award rate. Sheltered workplaces will close down. Everyone loses. The do-gooders, the lefties, the elites will move on, sip their Chardonnay, and never look back. And who will suffer? The people they were trying to help. As so many times I have said to you, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. God save us from these people. How much time have I got, Pete?
Yeah, a little bit.
A bit. The never-ending abortion debate continues, particularly in America at this time of election. But it is profound and polarizing, and in jurisdictions all over the world. It's not or shouldn't be political. It's not or shouldn't be legal. It's not a medical crisis. It's a media circus, yes. It's a simple decision with understandable religious overtones. A very difficult decision. Life is sacred. But here's what I would say to you. A woman's fertility is between her and her doctor. No one else. Also this, that abortion at 9 months should not be allowed in any circumstance, in my opinion. That is a full-term pregnancy. Now, if I can just reflect a little bit here, in my day, it was a regular procedure that at about 8 weeks, a woman was advised to have an amniocentesis. I never hear anybody talking about an amniocentesis these days. This was to determine if the fetus had abnormalities, perhaps Down syndrome, at which time the doctor would suggest an abortion. Not order, suggest. But in this crazy world, you probably can't abort a pregnancy because it was deficient or subnormal. You probably can't even say what I've just said. You can't even argue that argument. Well, I'm sorry, we'll stuff that. I say what I believe to be true. Can we please reclaim the words common sense? Not too much to ask for, is it? I don't know. A few dates, ladies and gentlemen, on this Wednesday, which is October the 2nd. I hope it's going to be a great day, depending on what time of the day you're looking at this, here on Facebook, and Andy Martin will send it around the podosphere. Is there a thing called a podosphere?
Well, there is now. You just created it.
The podosphere. Okay, October the 2nd. And the programme, by the way, is brought to you with the best wishes of the Rising Sun. The Rising Sun Inn on 60 Bridge Street at Kensington. Beautiful old world pub with lots and lots of charm. 1845 it was built. Handmade bricks, open fires, exposed timbers, all of the atmosphere that you would expect. It is the award-winning best pub or inn in South Australia. And they've got the certificate there and the award in the bar to prove it. Have a talk to Grant if you're looking for a quiet dinner for two or a big function. Doesn't matter. 8333 0721. 8333 0721. You will love the Rising Sun Inn, Kensington, here in Adelaide. If you're coming to town, make sure you drop in, make that a place to visit. Beatrix Potter's Tale of Peter Rabbit is published by Frederick Warne and Co., that publishers, in London, on this day in 1902. Phileas Fogg sets out on his journey as depicted in Jules Verne's Around the World in 80 Days on this day in 1872. in a balloon and other means of transport. Rock Hudson, American actor, Pillow Talk, Farewell to Arms, Ice Station, Zebra, dies of age-related complications at 59. It was 1985. I don't think he ever admitted that he was gay, did he?
I think so. Well, I think everyone knew.
Yeah, well, I suppose. I hope he was a happy man. I don't know. 1942, World War II, British Royal Navy boards the floundering German U-boat U-559, retrieving the abandoned Enigma code machine before it sinks. Unfortunately, 2 British sailors go down with the sub, but the Brits got the Enigma code machine, which helped them to crack the code and win the war. Big day. This day, October 2nd, 1942. First cartoon comic strip is printed in a newspaper, 1895 on this day. Thomas Lipton, the British, well, actually he was Scottish, I think. 5 times American Cup challenger, tea merchant, Lipton's Tea, dies at 81. It was this day in 1931. Mahatma Gandhi, Indian independence activist and spiritual leader, born in British India. He died in 48, but born this day in 1869. Tom Petty. You like Tom Petty, Pete? Tom Petty, American classic rock singer, songwriter. Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. American Girl, Travelling Wilburys, Last Night. I Won't Back Down. Dies of an accidental overdose. Oh, what a tragedy. He was only 66. This day in 2017. Homing pigeons average a record 133 kilometres per hour in an 1,100 kilometre race in Australia on this day in 1971. Wow. Don McLean, American singer-songwriter, American Pie, Vincent, born New York, 1945. We are the same age. Gene Autry, American cowboy singer, songwriter, actor, musician. Back in the saddle again. He did. He wrote Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Did he?
Yeah, he did, yeah. Gene Autry. Business tycoon. He owned the MLB Angels team, 61 to 97. He dies of lymphoma at 91. He also owned 200 radio stations across America. Gene Autry was quite a powerhouse. I think, have I got time for one more, maybe?
Yeah.
Oh, Groucho Marx, American comedian, Marx Brothers, you bet your life. Born in New York City, died in 77, he was born this day in 1890. I loved Groucho Marx. What did he say? I wouldn't join any club that would have me as a member. And his wife, Barbara, when he died, Barbara went on to marry Frank Sinatra. Now listen, I hope you'll join us on Friday around the dining room table. We got a stack of guests, and I hope we will have you. JeremyCordeaux.com, live streaming 9 o'clock till 12. And down the bottom of that web page, you can see the link at the very top when you go to the web page, and that's how you tune in at 9 o'clock. But down the bottom, you've got all of the postings that we do here in the garage on a Tuesday and a Wednesday as well. So thank you very much for viewing the Court of Public Opinion. I'm Jeremy Cordeaux. Peter Clayton and I will be back next week. Believe in yourself, and thank you for viewing the Court of Public Opinion.